What it do, flight crew? FTC. Flight team stand up! It may be May, but June is on the way. We got FlightReacts back at it again. Serial killer realizes the cops found his body collection. Stop doing that dirt out there, man. The summer's around the corner. Some of y'all promised me y'all were going to stop and still haven't stopped. What are you doing? You're gonna get caught. You know the drill, man. For the 105th time. Do right. Find something legal that you're passionate about. Check it out, Dr. Sanity.
Totally cooperating. Just with my not doing anything.
This is actually something I was gonna react to off stream a week ago, but we on live.
Let's try that, please.
That's not you on the 27th. Food Line parking lot, Traveler's Rest.
I don't think so.
Look, man.
Where's that? I don't know where it is. Yes, you do.
It's not making sense. You're the last person to be in a vehicle you wiped out of a lady that's missing.
That sounds really up.
28 years ago, this man kidnapped a woman and was sentenced to 30 years in prison for it. 3 decades later, 80-year-old Edna Suttles is spotted picking him up in a park.
You heard that 28 years ago, man. Stop doing that dirt out there, bro. That technology getting better,
man. This would be the last time Edna was ever seen alive. Days later, detectives traced Edna's movement and discovered CCTV footage of the same man driving her car.
Why is his face so close to the camera?
Right now. Yes, Dan, where
Dude,
is it?
Looks crazy.
I don't have a clue.
But that's when police found out Edna wasn't the only victim.
No.
If you tell them to turn that off, I can talk to you a little more freely.
Sometime around 9 a.m. on August 27th,
Swerve, what up?
8-year-old Edna leaves her home
Mills,
in
what up?
Traveler's Rest to look after a friend. Hours later, 911 dispatchers receive a concerning call.
Greenville County 911, what's your emergency? A sitter was supposed to show up to be with my mom today. Her name is Edna Suttles, and she didn't show up. This is not like her. She shows up like clockwork. Something's wrong.
But this call was only the beginning of a long chain of mysteries. As officers arrived at Edna Suttles' home for a welfare check based on these reports, they received no response. There were no signs of a break-in, and Edna was nowhere to be seen. However, when police asked Edna's son, he pointed out that $50,000 worth of jewelry was missing from the home. More importantly, though, her car was missing too. If the cops could find that, they might be able to figure out where she had gone. This meant that finding Edna's vehicle would be the most instrumental step in this investigation, as it would give a clue about her last known whereabouts. Immediately, a hunt for Edna's car began, and 6 days later, it was found abandoned in the parking lot of a hotel in Traveler's Rest. This was odd, as Edna lived close by and didn't need to stay at a hotel. A check with the staff also revealed that no one under the name of Edna was staying there. So to get to the bottom of this mystery, the cops decided to try and trace back Edna's movement using CCTV cameras starting from her home. At 9:30 a.m., a camera at a nearby pawn shop captures Edna leaving her home and driving towards a local Food Lion grocery store. 9 minutes later, Edna arrives at the store to pick something up. A man approaches the vehicle with 2 bags in his hand and sits alongside Edna, who then drives off back to her home. 4 hours later, at 1:43 p.m., Edna's car leaves her home again and arrives at the same Food Lion once more. But this time, the person exiting the driver's seat isn't Edna at all. It's the same old white man she picked up earlier, who immediately moves to his car and parks it next to Edna's. He then drags something out of her car, placing it into his. Initially, it was difficult to identify what the man moved from the Jeep to the Chevrolet, but after a frame-by-frame analysis, it wasn't a question of what was moved, but who. Because in a chilling discovery, officers would realize the footage showed the unmistakable golden hair of Edna Suttles. 4 minutes later, at 1:47 p.m.
Bro, just
man
imagine you just being in a parking lot, bro, coming back from the store, bro. Like,
drives Edna's car into the hotel's parking lot and parks it in the same spot that the detectives found the vehicle in. He exits and begins wiping down the door and seats, trying to get rid of any evidence of his presence. By 2:14 p.m., the man returns to his vehicle at Food Lion and drives off, marking the last that was seen of Edna
that's
and
fucking
the man.
wild.
The most crucial part of this investigation is to now figure out who exactly the man in the
Grainy
video
ass
is.
footage.
But due to the grainy footage and his distance from most cameras, this proved
I've never
to be
seen this.
difficult.
If you've seen this,
and
that's
the
good for you.
investigation seemed like it would come to a standstill. But detectives had an idea.
Thought I was just
Since
gonna
the
click
man
off.
exited the store with bags in his hand, a purchase was made. This realization would be the most crucial breakthrough in the case. Immediately, officers began retrieving footage from inside the store, and when they reviewed it, they came to a harrowing realization.
Stop doing that dirt, man. Cameras everywhere, from the pawn shop to the grocery store, from the parking lot. Use destiny to get caught. It's whether how bad they wanted to catch him.
This was Daniel Prince, a man who only 24 years prior to this got put in a federal prison for kidnapping. 24 years prior to this incident, in 1997, Daniel was responsible for the kidnapping of a woman in Michigan. He had her tied up, shackled her hands, and it was by sheer luck that she managed to free herself before escaping. Even though he was sentenced to a maximum of 30 years for this crime, he was released by 2009 on parole. But the worst was yet to come. Daniel began working as a handyman for predominantly elderly single ladies, a demographic that not only matched his previous victim, but also that of Edna's.
Here we go. First example of the justice system failing. He gets a slap on the, well, you know, still a good amount of time, but for that crime that he did, bro, like, damn near got a slap on the wrist, gets freed. What's gonna come next? Anybody can guess. He's gonna go on a rampage because the justice system fucking failed. Why is he even getting a chance to work with elderly women in the first place, bro? You have a whole kidnap, like.
For officers, the realization now
This could be
begins
any
to
of y'all,
settle
like, you know what I'm saying? It's like grandparents, you know what I'm saying? Like, how, like, who's doing these background checks?
in. They have a kidnapper on the run, and there might be a chance that he has kept Edna alive. Not knowing where she is, they had to act fast before this glimmer of hope dimmed. Even with this disturbing past, detectives didn't have enough evidence to press strong charges for kidnapping or murder. However, they had established probable cause for grand larceny involving Edna's Jeep. A warrant to arrest Prince and search his property was granted, and officers were quickly dispatched to Prince's residence to take him into custody.
Totally cooperating, just relax. Not doing anything.
This guy is such a loser,
Stand up
bro.
on your feet.
Like, look at him. Somebody in the chat said it perfectly. Like, this is another example of somebody that's only going to target weak people, bro. Like, vulnerable people that can't really defend themselves. Targeting elderly women, bro. Like, this guy would never dare to try and ever even have an argument with somebody that's in the gym 5 days a week, bro. Even if they're shorter than him. Like,
Yeah, sir. I will be very cooperative.
Despite the number of heavily armed officers that just descended on Prince's property, he remained
man.
noticeably calm and composed, as if he had a plan to escape this predicament. The following footage was analyzed by our in-house criminal research specialist and retired detective to shed some light on key techniques and strategies used during the questioning. When he is brought into the interrogation room, the detectives start with a relaxed, friendly conversation, a tactic used to put suspects at ease. They don't want him to know they've caught him on camera just yet.
What do you do now?
I do a lot of home remodeling,
Okay.
home repairs. I lay a lot of tile. I got a
Nah.
customer base that has me doing stuff.
that's actually scary, man. Like, coming from somebody that is, like, currently, like, on and off in my new house, like, getting, like, renovations and stuff done. Like, bro, can you imagine somebody like this, a serial killer of elderly people, bro, working on stuff in your house and you don't even know it at the time when they was, you know, doing this shit? It's actually genuinely crazy, man.
Okay, so well, why?
Everybody nowadays damn near need to get a background check, man.
Bostic, North Carolina, come all the way down from, say, Michigan or Wisconsin?
Okay, here, this is real easy. I'm originally from the east side of the state of Michigan,
Okay.
but I was in prison.
Somebody in the chat says you wouldn't care if a serial killer was doing your tiles or your home renovations, whatever, as long as he gets the job done.
in Michigan
Crazy,
for a
bro.
while.
I mean, realistically, from his body language, you can tell, obviously, like I just said, he probably preys and pitches on elderly people only. So he probably has a way different energy whenever he's doing business, and you probably wouldn't even be able to tell anyway. But knowing ahead of time what you saying that and said that you still wouldn't care, you're wildin', bro.
And when I paroled to the west side of the state.
Okay. What'd you get locked up for? Because you said you got paroled.
I was locked up for a kidnapping charge.
Okay.
And I did 13 and a half years for that.
Oh, wow.
I did 1.5 years for a false statement on a vehicle title. You know, when they're not sure if they're going to make something, they want something to hold you with. So the false statement.
Yo, hey, Maz, put an emoji only. No, actually, put in a sumo for like 5 minutes and we put an emoji only. Also, you're going to get hit with these ads too, you weirdo trolls, bro. Why you don't tell me if I watch the video? You realize all I got to do is just copy the entire title, right, and then put it in my video manager, and it will show up if I already watched it. And on top of that, the red bar wasn't even showed when I went to the video, which means I haven't clicked on the video ever. Like, bro, holy
I shouldn't have been doing
W
that,
mode, please.
I shouldn't have gotten kidnapping, but I was doing some bad shit.
What kind of shit? What shit have you gotten?
I really don't want to say.
We're just bullshitting. We're just bullshitting.
Nothing when you're talking to two police detectives in a room. It's just bullshit. Okay, I've been through the system.
Crazy,
enough
bro.
to know that.
It's Mother's Day, bro. Like,
I did my time. I made my first
Fair
parole,
enough.
and I haven't been in trouble since.
Hey, and that's great to know. You know, a lot of people, especially being what you've been through, they come out and they go right back to it.
Just because he's a convicted criminal doesn't mean he's involved in Edna's disappearance, but the evidence the detectives have paints a different picture altogether from the hard-working, reformed criminal he claimed to be.
popping pills and owning firearms is not the move, man.
What day of the week was that?
Cheese is small, Deucey 310, what up?
Okay, so specifically the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
What, 2 weeks ago? Do you know where you were at?
Not specifically.
Where do you think you were at?
I've been going all over the place. I've been back and forth to Charlotte. I've been down to South Carolina.
Like, where's your jobs in South Carolina taking you?
Actually, I was down to Traveler's Rest, but I don't know if it was Friday or Thursday. I know I'd been there earlier that week.
But you don't remember which day specifically?
No, it was either Thursday or Friday.
What kind of job were you working on?
I wasn't.
You wasn't?
I wasn't. This lady had talked to me several times. I'd been down to her house 2 or 3 times. We kind of got to be friends. This woman has so many damn
What happened to
problems,
his face?
mostly her daughter. She would call me and have me come down there.
Charlie the Rig, what
She
up?
said she
Dean
needed to
Smith,
have
what up?
money at one point in time to help her daughter because her daughter was in jail. Then she needed money another time because she was hiring a private investigator. Because
W's for the
her
W mode.
son-in-law was,
Peace
she
for
taught
chat.
me all kinds of stuff about it. We got to be pretty good friends about stuff like
Okay.
that.
How'd you meet her initially?
If you can't comment, you
Years
gotta
ago.
subscribe.
Years ago, it was somebody giving me her name or number, or her my name and number.
Here, the detectives are analyzing his behavior and allowing Prince to dig a hole for himself that he's going to struggle to
They're
escape
basically
from.
playing with
They
him right
reveal
now.
they know the truth.
Playing with their
he's going
food.
to try and deny his guilt, even when the evidence
Young
speaks
Cash,
for itself.
Wild Mirror.
What you're telling us is that's not you on the 27th? Food line parking lot, Traveler's Rest?
He might be cooked. Nigga said I
That's
don't
not
think
you.
so.
That's me. Where's that?
Food line, August 27th, 2021, 9:23,
3 Hizzy.
32 seconds. Ringing a bell?
Yep. Yeah, I went down to Food Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you doing down there that day?
W Mo, where y'all at watching right now?
At her house,
Where y'all at watching?
and she picked me up at Food Line because she wanted me with her when
Food Line.
she was
Got Florida, Canada,
Gonna
Portland,
meet some
Dubai, Maryland.
for
Said Youngstown, Australia, Maryland, Jersey.
Tell us about that.
She wanted me to meet her.
Got
down
Virginia,
there.
Chicago.
She was nervous because she says, I'm not sure I trust this guy. And she knows I've been in the military.
What up?
She says, will you
Refreak
She
with the
wanted me
gifted,
to
thank you
see
so much.
If this guy was
Got Vegas with
going to
Skanson
meet
in the
her
building.
where he was supposed to meet her.
Do you know where?
Dutland, Jamaica.
There
Bro
was
said
a
Taylor Swift's bathroom.
hotel lobby that he had finally said, meet me at the hotel.
Okay.
Got Cali,
He said, drive
Venus,
up there and see if he's
Texas.
there. And I drove up there,
It's locking the
and
video.
things are starting to sound really squirrely to me.
This is a common deflective behavior.
Bro,
Prince is not
squirrely?
only
I've never heard somebody say that before.
trying to deflect suspicion away from himself, he's trying to point suspicion directly at someone else. In this case, the private investigator. According to Prince, Edna wanted to meet the private investigator the day before she was reported missing, even though she didn't feel safe meeting him alone. Luckily, detectives have seen the whole thing on camera, and it completely contradicts everything Prince is saying.
What were you driving?
I was driving a blue car.
Your wife's car or your car?
My wife's car.
So that's y'all coming down 25.
Damn.
You and her together.
Bro, they come with pic after pic, bro.
Could be.
Hey, man, stop doing that dirt out there, man. Bro, they got about like 25 photos from cameras, bro, all across the town, bro. This is probably like a 5 or 10, maybe 15-minute tops drive that whatever he was doing.
Because that's their car. That's about
And shit, man.
1345 on the.
He probably didn't think he was being recorded.
27th.
He probably thought he
So
got
that's-
away
so
with the
you're
perfect
with
crime.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying yeah. I'm just saying that could be.
Yeah, it's a different angle. I mean, we've watched this car.
We got the angles and everything.
Okay.
Oh,
You're
no,
on
this
the,
not you. No, we got 4 other angles. Don't worry. How about this?
Hotel parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, look. There's y'all backing in.
Yeah.
And a couple of different copies of it. Backing in.
Yeah.
Oh, look. You get out. Nobody else gets out.
I told you that.
You're walking around the car.
Yeah.
You wipe the entire car down.
Damn.
Because I was worried.
You were worried. There's you walking across the parking lot in front of Little Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
And there's you getting back into your car and driving away.
Oh, she's with me.
Look, man. You are a good dude. I honestly
He ain't no good dude, bro.
do believe that you screwed up years and years ago.
Prince seems visibly stunned by the amount of photographic evidence the detective is showing him, and even though it can't be
Chad, is he
refuted,
cooked?
Prince is going to try and lie his way out of it. But that's not the only evidence detectives manage to find along the way, as there's mud on the wheels of Prince's car, leading detectives to believe he drove off-road to either kill Edna or to dump her body. And this is when we arrive at the pivotal moment where Prince's story starts to fall apart.
You're not a bad guy, right? Nobody is saying that you're some evil, twisted dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We need to know where it is. We've processed the car. We found the dirt. Where did you go off-road?
I never
Where did you leave?
Oh, I can tell you exactly where she and I had gone off road, please. When we were going from 25 south, there was off to the right, there was a truck with a trailer and another vehicle there that had a for sale sign on it. It looked like an older truck, and I needed a work truck. And I went ahead and I pulled in and with her, and then we pulled out. And it was right there on 25.
Even in the face
Bro, you could have made something up way better than that, dude. Like, that had to be the worst freestyle lie ever heard.
of such overwhelming evidence, Prince still denies any wrongdoing and even tries to take control of the situation.
what the
but
fuck is he
detectives have
saying,
him
bro?
cornered, and he's quickly starting to struggle to maintain his composure.
Where's right now? Her family is desperately looking for her.
She's missing right now.
Yes, Dan, where is it?
I don't have a clue. I dropped her off at her house.
Dan, please listen. You did not drop her off at her house. We have followed that car the entire day up and down 25.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of minutes that are unaccounted for that are not by her house.
Which car? Mine or hers?
Dan, stop playing games. You know what we're
When I
talking
got,
about.
okay, I can help you here.
Okay.
You gotta let me in.
Bro, yo, this man Dan, bro, gotta be, yo. This man Dan, bro, is different, dude.
Answer the questions when they're asked. When I dropped her vehicle off looking for the guy. She said she wanted me to take her and drive around in my vehicle. So I left her vehicle. I went down to Food Lion and she was in my vehicle with me. And I dropped her off at home.
You know, we watched the video. She is not.
The car sits there.
It sits there, man.
No, not in her car.
Never.
My car.
We
I
watched you
dropped
go
her
back
off
to
in
Food
my car.
Lion. You did not drop anyone off, man.
I picked her back up. She sat in my car at Food Lion and I went back and got her.
No, you did not.
The detectives are beginning to apply more pressure on Prince, knowing everything he's telling them is a lie. But he continues to stay on the defense, even trying to brush off the facts that he might have destroyed potential evidence.
I don't know where it is.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Damn it.
Let's get back to why you wiped the car down. What you said you were worried about what?
The only thing I did was because I knew I'd been in and out of her car all the time with her. I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm going to just leave this thing here because she's got somebody that's after her.
Prince tries to deflect suspicion again by suggesting Edna may have been in some kind of danger, but he doesn't realize just how prepared these detectives are.
Who would be after her?
That guy with the truck, she said she didn't trust him.
The PI?
Yeah.
Damn, putting up a fight though, man.
Somebody she hired as a PI.
His story's totally different. He's been doing work for her.
Nigga, there was nothing in that cup. Bro drank empty water to try and act like he was drinking so he can ignore to take the fact that he's trying to think of some more bullshit to say.
On the son-in-law.
Big Money Campus, what up?
I mean, he had no, he didn't meet with her instead. So that's
Right, that's why I said she hired another PI. I'm sure you're recording this.
it's not making sense. I mean, you're the last person to be in a vehicle you wiped out of a lady that's missing.
That sounds really fun.
It does. That's why we're here.
I've been real honest with you guys. I told you what was going on.
Okay.
Detectives managed to get Prince to admit he was with Edna on the day she disappeared. While Prince tried to convince them he was helping her meet a suspicious private investigator, they know it's
SB,
a
what
desperate
up?
attempt to deflect suspicion and distance himself from the crime. Prince insisted he dropped Edna off at her home, safe and well, but the detectives established that he was the last person to see her alive, and because of this interrogation, they locked him into a lie that would eventually lead to a chilling confession.
I smell
When detectives
cooked.
search Prince's property, they find several automatic weapons. Because of his previous convictions, he's forbidden from owning any firearms. That means he could be facing a federal charge and be detained for even longer.
Damn.
While he's detained, they continue to search his land and find one of the most crucial pieces of evidence yet, a yogurt cup. This is the yogurt he bought shortly before Edna disappeared, and it's laced with a cocktail of drugs. Lorazepam, tramadol, and cyclobenzaprine can cause central nervous system depression when they're combined. When this happens, the body's neurological functions slow down. In other words, you're
Damn, you gotta check everything now, man. You can't just take anything from anybody, yo. People slip things in the liquor. That was the biggest thing to always look out for over like the last 30, 40 plus years. Now you gotta watch out for what's in your yogurt, bro. You got freak weirdos putting things in your yogurt. Wow, man. This could be, like I said, he's preying on the elderly. This could be anybody's, you know what I'm saying, grandma, you know,
You're under sedation,
great-grandma,
exactly
etc.
as
Like,
Edna was in the parking lot when she was seen in Prince's car. After feeding her the laced yogurt, there's nothing Edna can
what type of sick, bro, lace yogurt,
do
bro?
to stop him, and she's led away to her death at the hands of this sadistic killer. Prince
crazy.
begins to realize he's cornered and has nowhere to run, so they bring him back in for more questioning, where he makes a full confession as he admits to 3 more murders, including those of Lee Goodman, Dolores Sellers, and her daughter, Nancy Rigo. The first victim was Dolores. Daniel had euthanized Dolores Sellers at the request of her daughter, Nancy Rigo. However, Nancy began to have second thoughts and wanted to contact the police, putting her directly
Whoa,
in
don't
the
show that
crosshairs
man
of
face.
Daniel Prince, a mentally disturbed serial killer. Nancy Rigo
First of all, that's a weird ass daughter, bro. That is crazy as hell, bro. Sat up there and wanted her out of here. Second thoughts. took you out too.
Rigo was now his second victim. Even worse is the fact that for several years, Daniel began receiving Nancy's social security checks because she had given him her power of attorney. Moreover, the search of Daniel's property would also reveal several of Nancy's documents. Since 2017, after her murder, Daniel pretended to be Nancy by sending her family emails and messages in an attempt to prevent them from thinking that she was dead. Daniel's third victim was Lee Goodman, who allegedly attempted to rob him, according to Daniel. Much like Nancy and Edna, her body was disposed of in some desolate area. And finally, Daniel's fourth and final victim was Edna Suttles, whose body would be found 1 year later on May 16, 2022, in a grave close to Daniel's home in Rutherford County. Although decomposed, officers were able to positively identify it as Edna and return the body to her loved ones. But even in the face of his crimes, he would never let go of his chance to leverage as much information as he could.
There was,
Bring back the cruel punishments of the 500 BCs, bro. Like, this man Dan needs to be tortured or something. Like, bro.
Find a lot of stuff out in your B house. There could be a million explanations for some of that stuff, and I don't want to jump to conclusions. And if there's something that happened that you didn't intend to happen, let's talk about it.
there are things that have to happen,
Valley Boy, what up?
and there are things that are going to happen. And I'm a realist, and I have acceptance with this. I would like a little bit of control in how they happen. If you tell them to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
When they turn the cameras off, Prince makes a final attempt to take control and influence the outcome in his favor. Daniel Prince avoided a trial by making a deal with authorities. He would tell them about the location of Edna's body, and in turn, his case would go federal because of the better living conditions in federal prisons. Not only that, but he would also avoid the death penalty and instead receive a life sentence. One would think
Justice system just bailing out Dan his entire life. Now, obviously, he's never gonna smell fresh air again. But bro, this deserves a death penalty, bro. Am I tripping? You sat up there and preyed on an elderly woman. First of all, let's take it all the way back to 1997, bro. This dude kidnapped another woman. She got free or whatever. That was something that they bailed him out low-key on too. He was supposed to serve way more. So if he even served a little bit more time instead of the 13, he wouldn't have been able to go after those other people. You know what I'm saying? Instead, he was able to get out free. He was able to get a job working with the elderly and also renovating houses and tiles and stuff like that. Basically getting a whole second chance of life after having some sick, weirdo crime he was already convicted of. Gets a second chance at life. And this is what he makes of his second chance, bro. This dude is a lunatic. This dude is sick in the head. He's a loser. He's weak.
think that the detectives were naive to turn off their cameras and not record Daniel's confession, but unbeknownst to Prince, the investigators keep the backup audio recording running after shutting down the camera. This is the chilling confession he made.
Okay, let's put it this way. A person I was very good friends with wanted to do something to put someone basically out of their misery that was very closely related to them. That's one body. That person started having an extreme amount of guilt over this and decided they were going to go tell what had happened. That's the second body. There's a third body that I did not kill, and I knew that they'd be getting Social Security disability for the rest of their life. So I got rid of said bodies, for example, so that I could continue to use the car.
By any chance, while he's getting all this squared away, can you just help me get that closure for Edna's family?
Not until I have this. I clam up like a clam if this doesn't go federal for everything.
Bro. Yeah, man. It's just, Dan in just general shouldn't have been even breathing regular air in society, man. This is just a full-on lunatic, man. That's the definition of a menace to society, bro. a threat. Like, targeting elderly women, man. I mean, he's going away for life. I feel like they still gave him, you know, special treatment and shit like that. Weird. Was justice served, chat? 1 in the chat for 1 or 2? They could have gone a little bit more harsher.